Now the darkness comes early, and for some, never leaves. On nights like this, the wind is a haunting entity, producing a chill unnatural as it smothers the silence. And the moon perpetually casts a cold red on the clouds, undead things, racing to find refuge in the empty sanctuary of the unknown. On this night and others like it, I wait in this hour, wait for a very distinct purpose. This is a man who also waits. He waits because of his sickness, a seeping corrosion that manifests itself small, dark, and soundless, and always lurking, always. That is why now together, alone we wait for the end, Bruno and me. I am Annulus, the Black Cat.
Looking at you, Bruno. Hey, Bruno, what do you say to a game of darts?
I'll get us another. You go on.
Well, it's all right for me if you're paying.
So I Sister
Well,
Charlie.
now. Hey, Harry, give us another round. Lonely, girlie?
Leave me alone.
Here now. When a girl's all alone, that's no way to be talking to a friendly gentleman, is it?
I said get on with you.
Well, ain't you the high and mighty one? Giving yourself airs.
Easy does it, Bruno. Here's your drink. You better be getting back over to Freddy there and leave the girl alone.
Why, I ought to...
What? Bruno, what's with you?
All of a sudden, I don't feel so good, Freddy.
You better be getting out before you can't make it.
Yeah, maybe you're right. See you tomorrow, lad.
Easy does it now.
Keeping company with a like to him.
Oh, he's harmless enough. Just talks a lot, that's all.
Well, I guess I'll be pushing off, Harry.
Right now, you take care of going there by yourself.
Don't worry about me. My dad's waiting.
I'll get your shawl. Now, don't be stopping off to see Charlie there.
Ha ha ha. Night now.
Night.
Get away!
made it home all right. Saw it. Probably sprawled in some gutter somewhere.
Oh,
Bruno's all right. He just had one too many. Next time he talks to me like that, I'll bust his head for him.
no good, slut. Huh? Spying on me, huh? Filthy beast. Saw it all, didn't you? Here, have a drink.
That was the beginning. Bruno took the first step that sealed his fate. It wasn't the murder of the girl. No, he had attacked me. And the worse for him, he had failed.
Poor kitty. How did it happen? Oh, Bruno. I found this cat at the door. He's been hurt. I think he's been in a fight. He's bleeding.
At the door? What'd you let him in for?
I told you. He's been hurt and looked lonely.
Well, get rid of him.
Bruno, he's been hurt.
Well, maybe he stuck his nose in one place where he shouldn't have. Now get him out of here.
He's been drinking.
Well, what if I have? What business is it of yours?
Be the poorhouse if we don't pay our debts.
Why don't you shut your nagging?
Bruno.
I told you to shut.
Ow!
He knew now, knew the fear. He seemed to sense what was going to happen to him. I didn't strike right away. No, I let him wait, and each day his dread of me grew stronger.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Bruno, what's the matter?
Nothing. Leave me alone, will ya? I need a drink. The dirty...
But what did you do to
I
him?
must have been out of my mind to let you keep that black devil.
Oh, but he's friendly, see?
Boy, I'm getting out of here.
Poor kitty.
Bruno's fear had reached the point where his decaying mind could no longer control it. I haunted his every second. And so he decided to take the final step, or so he thought, murder.
Let's be friends. We can be friends. I'm really gentle. You'll see. No, come on. Got you, didn't I? You always thought you were so clever, huh? Staring and planning revenge. But I got you. And now I'm gonna end it. You'll watch me no more. Oh, God! No. He's dead now. Yeah.
After that, Bruno was happy, but still he drank. And even though he thought I was dead, his disease stayed with him and issued forth its own phantoms.
Bruno, what is it?
The cat!
Gone. He's been gone. He ran away months ago.
Yeah. Ran away. Gone.
Now Bruno drank even more, for he was trying to escape, though he knew that there was no escape. It was a murky, foreboding night when he was returning home, half blind with drink, that I came to him again.
Oh, what's this? Well, you look just like Anubis. Oh, Ken. He's dead, isn't he? Yeah. Friendly, aren't you? Oh. Come on, I'll take you home. Our cat's dead. Come on.
And so Bruno made his mistake. He welcomed the instrument of his doom, a fatal mistake that he only began to realize when he sobered.
Bruno, I'm so happy since you got me a new kitty.
Why, I'd like to know. Look at the devil. Always watching. Just like the other.
But Bruno, I've been so lonely since Anubis left us. And Fistful reminds me so much of him.
Too much.
A week perhaps passed, and Bruno knew. He tried to avoid the sight of me whenever he entered the house, but he couldn't even pretend he knew.
Ha 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 ha!
Bruno searched for hours trying to find him. But at last, enough of his senses returned that he realized he had to hide his wife's body. He could be content now. No more would his wife nag him when he wanted to drink. And he was convinced that his crime had frightened me away. Yes, Bruno was content, and then they came.
Yeah, I'm coming. You don't need to knock the door down.
Are you the owner of this house?
Aye, what is it yours?
Police. We've had a report that your wife has been missing for over a week.
The witch left me, ran away. Said she couldn't tolerate my drinking no longer.
I see. Mind if we look around?
Well, I don't like it, Dad. But if you mind to, come on.
Bruno showed them over the entire house, saving the cellar for last.
A bit dark down here, but you won't find nothing.
He was like a child at a game, certain that he wouldn't be discovered.
He's right, sir.
Sorry to have troubled you. On duty, you know.
Received a complaint.
It troubled me a bit. Enjoyed your company. Fine house I have here, eh? Well built. Good, solid construction.
And so I sit in this alley and wait. Sometimes I cry a little.